If you're thinking about getting into the real estate investing business, it's a great place to be. I make my living here and I love the business. But learning how and what to do is one of the most important and difficult and sometimes the most expensive part of the real estate investing game. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about real estate investing education. We're going to touch on a couple points. First, we're going to talk about educational courses versus what you're going to learn, in the field. When you're out there and you're doing the business, the difference of the types of things you're going to learn, the different costs and things like that. Second thing we're going to take a look at is what you need to know. And the third are the good, bad, and sleazy. So let's start with book learning versus hitting the streets. You probably heard this scenario or somebody called street smart versus book smart. It's the idea that in a classroom setting, you might know the ins and outs of real estate investing, upside down and inside out, and 50 ways to skin a cat, so to speak, or get a deal done. But when it comes to practical application, there's a different learning curve. There's more things that go into a deal than simply what you can learn in a course. So there's a little bit of both that need to go into your real estate investing education. First, you want to learn the basics. You want to know, if you've never had or never done a real estate deal, or never even had your own transaction where you bought a house or sold a house, you're going to need to start from square one. What is a real estate transaction? Get the basics on putting a property under contract, what it means to go into escrow, title company, working with a title company, finding a real estate agent for that matter, going through a settlement, finding an insurance carrier, all of these things. These are the basics. This is the kind of stuff that you can learn from, this is the book learning. This is the kind of stuff that you can take a class or buy a course and learn the step-by-step process. You can also learn this information by doing a deal yourself. The only difference is where you may pay a few hundred or a few $1,000s to get your basic knowledge on investing from a classroom, to do it in real life, it can cost you tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the mistakes you'll make throughout the process. I know that because that's the way I did it. Sometimes I'm the kind of person who bangs his head against the wall one too many times till I learn. But if you're that way, just expect to pay more if you're going to be doing everything in hands-on, street smart type learning, as opposed to spending some time on your education, taking a couple courses and getting the basic knowledge. What you'll need to know. Well, once you have the basics down, once you have the key terms and you understand how a real estate transaction works, what you need to know is how you can make money in investing. There are a few strategies that you should at least have a working knowledge of. One is going to be called wholesaling, and that's the process of placing a property under contract, and instead of settling yourself and taking ownership of the property, you actually sell the contract to an end buyer, and you make a fee for selling that contract. The second strategy that you're going to want to understand and know about is the rental business. It's the idea of purchasing a property, finding a tenant, leasing the property, and collecting rents. It's a lot more complicated than that, but if that's the pursuit that you want to go after, then you're going to need to know the rental business. And the third strategy that I recommend is the rehab business, where you buy a property, fix it up, and sell it for more than you invested in the property. These three strategies are the very basics. They're the kind of thing that when you first get into real estate, they're no frills. They're the kind of thing that has been going on for hundreds if not thousands of years, and you'll be able to get into these strategies, learn the basics, and go out and start doing your first deal. These are not the kind of thing that you're going to see from gurus typically. These are the kind of practices and processes that day in and day out, they work. They're a little bit more difficult to find the deals. They're not necessarily all that creative, but they work and they yield results. That brings me to number 3. getting education is going to be important. It's an important part of of the learning process. Buying courses is a good thing if you're learning about the basic stuff. If you're learning about the basic processes and step-by-step, things that you're going to need to do as a new real estate investor. There are a lot of gurus on the market, a lot of teachers on the market that have come up with really creative and often very interesting ideas on how to structure a deal and how to turn every lead into a profitable deal. But the truth is, these strategies are best left to very experienced investors and people that are very familiar with the investing business. If you're going to sink your money into an investing course or an educational course, stick to the basics first. Once you've mastered the basics, then it's time to move on. So this can kind of give you an overview of what you're going to need to go out there and get your first deal. You want to get the basic education, learn about the three most consistently profitably performing strategies of wholesaling, rentals, and rehabbing. And if you're going to invest in your education, invest in courses and in seminars and things like that where you're going to get a good bedrock. You're going to get a good foundation to move forward in your investing career.